We're going to continue to talk NBA on our own. And Rob, let's go to the Phoenix Suns. Now, Rob G, I want to hear about this article that Brian Windhorst of ESPN wrote. And he wrote about the 20 players who had the most to lose in these playoffs. Is that it?
Yeah, so it was the 20 players with the most to gain or lose entering these NBA playoffs. Now, fairness to Brian Windhorst, he did not list them in order. He just listed them as he saw them. Some of it was alphabetical, some of it was by conference, but, so on and so forth. He listed both Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant together in this column. Now, some people on social media took umbrage of it because it's like, hey, Kevin Durant, two-time finals MVP, two-time champion, top 75 player. What could he possibly have to gain or lose alongside the likes of a Jason Tatum or a Kristaps Porzingis? And here's what Windy wrote about KD and the Suns at large.
Windy? Okay.
Windy.
Everyone knows it's windy.
There you go.
There you go, Chris. It's Wimby.
All right.
Windy, yes.
So here's what he said. The loaded Suns are fighting to avoid a play-in bid. There are other factors involved, all that underachievement, of course, but it's unfortunately been defining this stretch of his career. The playoffs will decide what sort of year this has been for the Suns. Durant is a two-time finals MVP, two-time champion, regular season MVP, one of the greatest scorers in NBA history, and one of the greatest Olympians in USA basketball history. He also forced his way to the Suns last season and was a factor in getting Beal to join him and Devin Booker. Evaluating Durant's career is nuanced and complex. His greatness has been mixed with his lack of team success since leaving Golden State. Winning again would mean so much for him.
I'll say this, Rob. Winning, and thank you, Rob G. Winning a championship, and I don't think they will. I don't think they'll get close, would be huge for Kevin Durant. Huge. And he's already going to go down. Obviously, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's one of the greatest scorers ever. Most people have him in the top 20-ish range of all-time great NBA players. But, Rob, if he won a championship this year, even with a team that initially we thought was stacked, would be huge for Kevin Durant. As much as he's already accomplished, this would be incredible. And, Rob, like we say, LeBron's ring in Cleveland is his biggest, most impressive. This would be the greatest ring for Kevin Durant. That said, I also think he's got, I'll put it this way. Just like it'd be a huge accomplishment, if he misses the playoffs, and I mean they get in the play-in and lose before reaching the final 8. So they lose the play-in. If they don't get to the final 8 in the playoffs, Rob, I think this is the second greatest failure of Kevin Durant's career. I think the greatest was when he was in Oklahoma City, 2016. They're up 3-1 on the 73-win Golden State Warriors in the Western Conference Finals, and they lost. He and Russell Westbrook dropped the ball, and they lost that series. I think that was the greatest failure of his career from a team standpoint. I think this would be the second greatest of his career. Not if they don't, get to the second round. I'm talking about if they don't make even the final 8, so basically make the playoffs.
To not make the playoffs would be ridiculous because with the play-in, Chris, 20 of the 30 teams in the NBA are involved in some sort of playoff.
Right. And I don't mean, okay. I get I'm saying they make the play-in, but they don't win there and they don't, you know what I mean? They don't make the official playoffs.
You think that?
I think that would be the second greatest failure of his career.
I think it would be the greatest.
But bigger than dropping a 3-1 lead in the Western Conference Finals?
People have dropped 3-1 leads. How in the world could you not be one of 20 teams?
No, 16.
Yeah, but how could you?
I'm saying they make the play-in, but not the playoffs.
But how could he not be one of 16 out of 30, Chris, when you're one of the all-time greatest players and you have a Devin Booker and you know what I mean? Like you in the NBA, you just need 2 people. To win to make the playoffs, where teams are, I don't even get it. Like how they're in this situation and how they're that bad. Like that's the part I'm saying to you is for Kevin Durant to have a player of that ilk with him who's
and
healthy.
Bradley Beal too.
Yeah, and Bradley Beal's been hurt, but Chris, you're right. But I'm saying him and Devin Booker should be enough to make the playoffs in the NBA. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Those two.
Now,
So
look,
for
he's
those two
35. If you want to say he's not what he used to be.
But to still think that those two guys playing together aren't making 16 slots out of 30, that's hard to believe. That would be, I don't even know what, it was like a couple years ago.
Because I think there's some people saying this, and I think Rob G's one of them, as we've talked just off the air recently. Some people are saying this would be a big knock on his legacy. Where are you at on that? And then I can give my take.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, it would be bad. It wouldn't feel good. The dude's won a couple of NBA titles. He was Finals MVP. He's a prolific scorer. What is he in the top 10, Chris, now? Number 8?
He's 8.
I mean, come on. What are you going to do? No. I just don't. He's got an asterisk. You're going to put an asterisk next to his name, or you're going to act like some things didn't happen before. I don't know what you could take away from him. You can't take any of that away. I don't agree.
I agree with, I don't think this, while I think it'd be a huge failure, I don't think it's like this huge knock on his legacy. And here's why, and I hate to say it. I don't really expect much anymore from Kevin Durant. I expect 27 points a night. I expect a plethora of mid-range, silky smooth mid-range jumpers, the occasional 3. I expect the gaudy scoring numbers. Winning? Like, really winning? I don't expect that. Yeah, I did expect them to make the playoffs.
But when
I do expect them to make the playoffs, but I'm just saying,
people
I don't
were
expect
all ranting
anymore.
and raving. You remember? Are they the favorites?
Yeah, I
in the
was
West?
ranting and raving.
Right, they're favorites in the West. Look at that.
I've seen enough. I've seen enough. I mean, when you gonna get it done? You're a great individual player. You're a great piece. He's one of the greatest pieces ever. Because you could put Kevin Durant anywhere and he would fit. We talked about it earlier. It's easier to fit role players in than superstars. Like LeBron is a tough fit because he does so much. He's so versatile, all of that. Kevin Durant is an easy fit because all he needs to do is catch the ball and shoot. He's not going to over dribble. He's, going to shoot a high percentage, all that. But Rob, I get it. I'll be the first to say, he didn't really have a great chance in Brooklyn because of all the injuries and because Kyrie with the anti-vax stance and all that. I get that. And even here in Denver, there have been some injuries. He's been as injured as anybody, whether it's Brooklyn or Phoenix. And then there have been other injuries. So I get all that. But I mean, from demanding trades and I'm going here and picking your superstar teammate you want to play with and then failing time after time to get it done, I don't expect much.
Right, at this point.
I mean, right? So I'm not, it's like, okay. He didn't make the playoffs. I mean, yeah, I thought he'd go further than that, but, it's not a big deal because
it's mind-boggling,
I don't think he's a factor
honest.
anymore.
It's mind-boggling. And remember we talked about it earlier in the season, and I said, what was the term that I used? That, and he was having a good year, but that he didn't register anymore, or what was the term? I can't remember.
Well,
what was it?
I don't know if it's early in the career.
Well, no,
but I mean,
early this season.
When we talked last week, you just thought he wasn't kind of valued or
no. But Rob's big headline take was Kevin Durant is NBA dead.
Yeah, NBA dead. That's what it was.
Right.
Chris.
What was the context of that?
Right.
That people weren't talking about him anymore.
Like
that he was kind of just in
that's
obscurity.
kind of what I'm saying. That's fair. I hadn't even thought about that, but it's similar. Similar thing.
You remember that, Rob G? And that was when he was averaging almost 30 points. Remember? Or he was having a great...
What makes this conversation interesting, and maybe because I'm a Laker fan, but when LeBron, AD, and Westbrook didn't make the playoffs, it led every single sports television show all season about how terrible and disappointing they were and what's going on and yada, yada, yada. This Phoenix Suns team, to you guys' point, was the favorites to win it, come out of the West. Even the NBA GMs, which had Joker and the Nuggets sitting right there, Phoenix was a close second. Like, it wasn't like a landslide between one or the other. And the fact that they might miss the playoffs, it's like, oh, well, they might miss the playoffs. It is what it is.
You know who might be hurt more in terms of legacy? I'm not saying he can't be a Hall of Famer and all that, but who could be hurt by this more than Durant? Devin Booker. Because Durant, we can poo-poo it. Yeah, he's still averaging 27. He's 35. He's in his, 14th, 15th season, something like that. So, I mean, at some point, even though you're smart enough to put up numbers, you're still a great shooter. And Rob, to your point, the defense isn't what it used to be. You can still put up numbers, but you're older. You're not as good as you used to be. What is Devin Booker's excuse?
Thank you. And this is the same Devin Booker, Chris, that they were up 2-0 in the finals, lost 4 straight. And since then, it's been ugly.
Good point.
Okay, let's just be
honest.
The
same Devin Booker who talked trash to Luka.
And the same Devin
playoffs.
Booker who everybody said was Kobe. Wasn't it Kobe?
Was his favorite player.
No, but people, after the first 2 wins, remember people were talking about.
Yes.
That's all. I'm just saying, not him, but other people were ready to crown him, Chris, after the first 2 games.
The mid-range game, all that. Yep. Nah, I mean, I think Book might have more to lose because Book's still young. Book is at the height of his powers. And you're not making the playoffs with Kevin Durant?
With Kevin Durant? Oh, my God. At least when we saw.
And his Book, I don't know whose team it is. But
Chris, when
remember last year how great Booker was in the playoffs.
Right. But when we saw Kevin Durant together with Kyrie and Harden, it was magic. So that's why, you know what I mean? Like, when they were together, they didn't play together long enough, but they were good.
Those 4 games, it was crazy.
It felt like 4 games, Chris. It felt like, I'm telling you, like Aaron Rodgers' biography should be 4 snaps. Was it 3 snaps or 4 snaps?
Fourth play.
Snaps. Like Chris, four snaps. That should be the title of his book, 4 snaps.